So what is a function? This is the first part of two videos on what a function is, and we're going to start by looking at the algebraic form of a function. So here I have what's called a mapping diagram, okay, where you can see that I have certain input numbers on this side, 2, 3, 5, 9, 11. I've only just picked 5. I could have picked many more. I could have, for example, picked -7 or -10. But here I have input numbers, and here I have outputs. Okay, so something has been done to the input numbers to take them to the output numbers. And you might look at the first input and say, well, if you add 3, then I get to my output 5. But then, of course, that's not going to work for all of these inputs, because if I take 5, for example, and add 3, then that doesn't give me 8. Okay, so it's not add 3. Now, after some consideration, you'll look at this and you'll say, well, if I multiply 2 by 2 and then add 1, then I'm going to get the output here, 5. And that's going to work for all of these inputs. For example, with 9, if I multiply it by 2, I get 18, and add 1, I get 19. So, to take these inputs to the outputs, there's certain rules that we have. We have to multiply 2 first, then add 1. And I can represent that using a mapping. So I could represent that as, if, let's say, for example, I wanted any general input, so let's call that x, for example. Then if I multiply x, just do an arrow all the way here, multiply x by 2, then I get 2x, and then add 1, then I'm going to get 2x plus 1. So sometimes you see functions written as in this format, where you have x maps onto 2x plus 1. But more often in the IB, you'll have, and if I just get rid of this, so I've not quite got space at the bottom, you'll have the function written as f of x equals 2x plus 1. Okay, so we take our input number, which is x, and we multiply it by 2 and add 1, and we've got our output number. So for example, f of 3, when x is 3, then I get 2 times 3 plus 1, which is 7, which means that f of 3 is 7. Of course, f of 5 is 11. So this is one of the ways in which we show when we have a certain input number, then we have our outputs as well. We don't often call these input numbers. We do have a special name for all the inputs of a function. And the whole set of input numbers, so every single input you could think of, is called the domain of a function. Okay? And the whole set of output numbers, every single number that can come out of this function, is called the range of the function. And these are things we're going to talk about certainly in later videos, but not quite so much today. So this is a function described in an algebraic format. And of course we can describe functions geometrically as well. This has a geometric representation. So if I go into GeoGebra, then here I've represented the function f of x equals 2x plus 1 geometrically. Okay, so for example, when our input is 1, okay, then our output is going to be 3. So we have the point 1, 3. Okay? And when our input is 2, if I can just get onto that, then our output is 5. 2 times 2 plus 1 is 5. And the whole set of points here, every single input and every corresponding output, if we draw down all of those points, then you can see that we get a straight line carrying on forever this way and forever that way as well. So the domain of this function is actually infinite. We could put anything into this function and we would get an output number. So that's just the first part, the first video of two videos. So if you go to the second video now, then we'll talk in a bit more detail about what functions are. Thanks a lot. Bye.